launch a bunch more. We have about 1,500 builds coming down the pipeline over the next 3 to 5 years.
Awesome.
So this year about 15% of this year's been new home development, but we have a bunch that are coming into the market as we speak.
Yeah. So let's break it down so at what point in your journey did you decide to focus on, like, was it a random relationship with a builder that kind of got you into this? Like, talk about, I want everyone to be able to, if they want to be able to take steps into doing this. So go into that first year or two where you first got into this sort of work and break it down how it happened.
Sure. So like where I personally started is I was really focused on resort lifestyle in our marketplace, condominiums. And I had the opportunity about the 4th year of my career. I built a really good relationship with the developer. I just asked him, I said, give me a shot. I'll show up for you in ways that other people haven't. I'm new to this, but I've taken the time to pretty much go through every condo in our marketplace. That was my piece. I didn't have a lot of business. I didn't have all these leads, had no sphere, had no online leads, none of that. My father taught me, he says, the best way you're going to learn in real estate is you got to be the most knowledgeable in your inventory. And so my first year in real estate, I did about 4 million, but I literally would learn 3 new developments every single week. I knew that I had full control of that. I didn't have to have a lead to do that. And I would go out, I would first look online, I'd find a unit that I thought looked nice. I would go to that project, and then I would study that entire project. I'd stay there for half a day. I'd walk through, look at the amenities, I'd look at the different floor plans. You can find so much information on a property by just doing research online, trying to find the homeowners association website for a property. And you just got to know more than what people can find online. And that's what delivers value. And so he was like, I don't think you have the experience yet to launch a condominium. I said, well, why don't you try to school me a little bit on my condominium knowledge and the relationships I built? And I impressed him. And he was like, well, gosh, you know more about condos than a lot of the senior people that I've met. This was my 4th year into the business. And my wife and I ended up securing a listing on a 130 unit complex on Okaloosa Island, but I spent 4 years of my time leading up to that to just build my property knowledge. And by building that property knowledge in the field, you end up meeting a lot of people that are the movers and shakers. So when I would see, things happening, I would, go up and talk to the HOA manager. How could I, provide value to you? And I just started communicating. My wife and I would put our clipboards on with our name tags, and we'd ride up and down the elevators at different condos on Saturdays, which are checkout and check-in times. And people would say, oh, are you in the business? I said, well, we're actually showing a customer 2 units in this project. And they're like, oh, can I see it too? I'm like, sure, they're vacant today. Let's go look. And I just really, I didn't get lost in the online stuff because there was none of that available to you. It was get out and beat the streets, talk with people. This business is built off relationship. But you can pull those relationships in if you're focused to be more knowledgeable because you're putting in the work to gain the knowledge. And we put in the work heavy. And that was our first project that led to several other development projects. And that successful track record, all these developers, they know each other, right? So you do a good job for one developer, they're going to say, man, like, what was your secret? Well, we had this good team, we had the great connection, and they found a success. And that led to other referrals. I was always condo resort style. TJ, my business partner today, we didn't start off that way. He was 23 years of age. He worked for DR Horton. He was one of their top salespeople in the Southeast. And the way that TJ and I connected, he knew his product so much that when I knew I brought a customer to go meet with TJ on site, we batted 100 for 100% on putting a deal together. That was how our relationship was formed. And like, I can go to any DR Horton agent, it's kind of an entry-level product, but I'm going to make sure I wait to show up and when TJ's on site, because when TJ was on site, he knew the subs, he knew the process, he always would try to find solutions. He was hungry to perform. He saw that I shared that same passion. And when we would connect every time, we put a deal together. So I was like, man, I want to figure out a way to do business with this guy one day. And we started talking, and it, 10 years ago, we said, one day maybe we could run point on new development opportunities. And so none of this was a gift. This was just showing up as single agents, working hard, getting results, always searching for new opportunities. And here we are, business partners today, bringing, another 1,500 builds to the market from starting as single agent. So you don't have to have a big team to build relationships. It was just me and my wife. We launched an entire building together, and another thing I think that agents miss out on is that they don't realize that other agents are by far your best customer. People wanted to support our projects because we never screwed over agents. We always came to the table to have great community and connection with other agents in our marketplace. And that also opened up unique opportunities of them trying to sell our projects.
Yeah. So you may know this number or may have to estimate it, but since that first 130 unit development, how many new builds would you say you've been a part of selling?
20.
So 20 projects?
Yeah, 20. And we have our biggest bulk of projects coming to fruition now.
And how many units would you estimate in the 20 projects?
Probably around 1,500.
So 1,500. If you had to guess, how much GCI associated with those 1,500?
Millions. I mean, it's one project I made 450 grand on a condo project. After the brokerage had their split and we split up, but I would say, total GCI over that.
A lot.
Yeah, probably close to 4 million.
Yeah. Okay. So the reason I asked those questions, a lot of times, and this is what I love about you, it's the passion for the project or for the product and for real estate. And even you sell everyone on your product. It's like you're texting me. It's like, I know Julie really wants to own a home down on 30A. Like you really need to, and then you're sending me the unit, the floor plan. I'm like, what's going on here? So you have a passion for this stuff. But did you have, the way that I'm wired is that I can get excited about building something when I know it's going to turn into whatever. I have a vision in my mind and I go after it. Did you know that it was going to lead to millions of dollars of GCI? Like you put in 4 years of effort. It's kind of like the bamboo that spends 7 years in the ground, but you don't even see it. And then it comes out of the ground and it grows like, a foot every hour or something. So what was your mindset going into working with developers and building up this skill set before you can even use it to get that first project?
So my father knew how important property knowledge was. And, when I first was looking at, I was born and raised in this area. I'm passionate about it. And in my mind, I thought I knew my property knowledge just because I lived here. I was like, I've been around real estate. I lived here. And my father said, well, great. What area do you know the best? And I said, man, Okaloosa Island. I know that in Fort Walton Beach, Dad. I know that so well. I said, great, let's get in the car and drive around and let me quiz you a little bit. I failed so miserably. I didn't know a damn thing. I thought I did. I couldn't even tell you the pricing in the building. He's just like, how about you actually pay attention to your business, or maybe you should just create a life in waiting tables because you don't know your product. And so I started looking at how I waited tables. I always had some of the highest ticket sales because I knew that menu inside and out. When someone suggested, what should I eat tonight? It was never, well, the surf and turf, right? That's just a cheap way to say that you don't know the menu. And so I would taste the menu. I would ask the chef, hey, what's a great pairing? Like if you were to pair a 4-course meal out of your menu, what would that look like? And I started looking at that, applying that towards real estate. How could I expect to be someone that could provide expert knowledge to someone if I didn't even know their product on that level myself? So, and I took pride in that throughout my entire career. I had an example, a new product, a guy walked through, very wealthy customer of mine. I would always ask for constructive criticism. We drove through on his golf cart and he said, and I thought I knew this product well. And this is after knowing how to study products, but he schooled me. He said, hey, what did that one just sell for? And I'm like, you know what? Let me pull that up. Well, how about this one over here? And I think there's a new build coming over here. He knew that development better than I did because he owned 5 properties there. And I literally stopped him. I said, hey, listen, I don't deserve to be your listing agent at this point. I said, but I want to challenge myself. Can we do this again in 2 weeks And I promise you, I'm going to know this neighborhood as good, if not better, than most people you'll ever talk to. He says, yeah, bet. And we'll do that. So we broke apart. I said, because I'm not deserving of this listing. And I got on my bicycle and I literally spent a week in this neighborhood riding. I had my list of properties. I actually understood what the lifestyle looked like. I looked where all the club facilities were. I knew where all the beach accesses were. I studied the market, and I came back and I secured both listings. I sold them for him. He's referred me probably 25 people since that time period, because he says, you know what, this agent didn't try to blow smoke. He actually realized he failed me, and he wasn't afraid to tell me that he failed me. And I have to tell you, over that 2-week period, he'll school anyone in this neighborhood on this product. And if you don't think that knowledge is key, you're missing the boat, because everyone thinks that they need to have a lead in order to do real estate. You can wake up and do real estate every single day with 0 leads. And quite frankly, you need to be in that mindset so that when you do get that lead, you can shine. And you don't have to know all the information. Don't pretend to know it. But if you don't know it, be a researcher and spend everything you got to find that information and provide correct answers. And people saw that work ethic in me. And that's what over time delivered connection. That's the same thing that happened at TJ. Most D.R. Horton agents you walked on site, they knew the basics. Here's the price point. Here's the floor plan. Do you want to buy a property? TJ knew everything. He would bring, surveys to the sub base that were out there. He could get things done that no one else could, because he not only built relationships with the sales process, he built relationships with the people that were building the homes, that were doing the land work, that were doing all these things. And he would ask them for information, like, how do you grade this lot? What are the things that you look at? Like he was a sponge for knowledge. And his supervisor, same thing, is 23 years of age. And they're like, man, there's a lot of seasoned agents out here, but this young cat that's selling properties for us, he asks the right questions and he's so focused on building knowledge. Maybe he's the one that we need to talk to about being the lead person in our next project. And that's, knowledge is such power in this business that we sometimes fail to even pay attention to.
Yeah. So I want to go down 2 paths, and then go down the actual development path. You mentioned something, and I just want to get your take on it, because I know you have a good answer for it. Let's say you're a solo agent, and there's no inventory, quote unquote, but you've got new development. Most markets have caught up with new construction. Is it's a little late to the show, but what advice or what step-by-step process would you give for an agent wanting to, in my mind, I say it like, treat that new construction inventory as their own, and like, how do you befriend the on-site agents? Just like lay out the process of how you would advise us to go after new construction business, like get those relationships with the TJs on site. How would you teach us how to do that?
So as an agent, new or seasoned, you should do the research to know every new project coming to the market in your marketplace. How do you find that? Social media, asking around, talking to different brokerages. Hey, do y'all know of any new product that you're bringing to the market? I have someone that's interested in new inventory. Because once you find out where those projects are, and that's where we're educating right now, like D.R. Horton's a good example, right? They do 30,000 homes a year. Find a D.R. Horton community. There's a different product for everyone. That's a more of an entry-level product, right? It's not built as good as some of the other products, but they always meet a great price point. And usually everyone that buys on D.R. Horton is going to make money if they're in the beginning phases of that development. So D.R. Horton agents typically know the other D.R. Horton communities that are being sold in their area. Same with all national builders. Go in and meet that person and say, hey, what else y'all got going on over here, right? Start creating a list of all the new projects, both from custom builders to track style builders, people that are doing big communities. Look online, Google new developments in your marketplace, developers in your marketplace. Start building a list of that and start making the calls and say, hey, I'm really eager to learn the new construction that hasn't came to the market yet, or that you're just about to launch, and then start befriending the people that are on site there, because they will help you close those deals. Our on-site agents are taught, we write all the contracts, we register the customer. If you start building these relationships with these new on-site people and you register your customer there, imagine what it feels like when you walk into that project with your customer, and TJ's like, hey, Nathan, what's going on? Good to see you again. I'm like, hey, TJ, what's going on? They feel that instant connection. They're like, man, Nathan knows this project. My gosh, the on-site guy even knows who he is. And that's with every development, high rise, new development. It's all about that relationship. And TJ knew he would go out of his way to let me know about everything new coming to the marketplace because he knew I took pride in learning it. And he loved that reception that we had. So imagine if you put a post online to say, hey, I know where all the new development is in our marketplace. If you're thinking about new home sales to purchase, call me. I have the details that you need off market, right? That's people always want to know about the new product that no one else knows about. But you should make a dedication to really study by researching online and just asking around, asking other brokers that you know, asking other team members or agents that you know, hey, do you know, is your company bringing any new development to the market? I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah. So make a list of projects, make a list of on-site agents, and make a list of developers.
Yep. And go buy those projects and get their marketing packages, study them, right?
Anything to do, like, suppose you're like socially not like you. I mean, you've got this amazing personality and you love people, and step by step, how would you have me go into an on-site agent? You know, am I bringing them coffee? Am I, introducing, like, what's am I taking video and say, hey, could I just, how does the progression of a relationship look like?
So if it's an on-site development, they're professionally trained on how to share that product, right? And if they're not doing that right, they're doing it wrong because they're using it as a training ground for new agents to sit on site. The ones that really know what they're doing, they're trained to tell you everything they know about that project. Yeah, if you wanted to bring someone coffee, great, but I would do that on the second round, right? Like I would just go in first and say, hey, I want to be a sponge for knowledge. I want to learn this product. I want to share with other people in my company about this development. Can you share with me everything that you know about it? And do you have a marketing package that I can have to study? Because I want to reach out to my own customers about that. Because they're graded on how many deals they pull together, right? And they're working for that developer. So if they're not providing that content to you, that developer is really screwing up by having the wrong agent on site. So they get graded on how many deals they do per month for that development. And their goal is to give you the information. So just be a sponge. Hey, I got customers that are interested in new construction. I want to learn every new construction opportunity in town. What makes you stand apart from some of the competition that's out there, right? And then they're going to give you those details on that community. And now you become the expert of that community too, because you heard it from that listing agent that's on site. And they're going to know more about that project than probably anyone else.
And then you could ask them, like, hey, what communities or projects are your biggest competitors? And then you just go to them, ask them the same set of questions, go to the next one.
Yep.
So you're learning the inventory, you're learning the projects, you're meeting the on-site reps. How are you getting to know developers? Are they, in the bigger communities, you're not getting to know anyone except the on-site reps at a D.R. Horton?
So it comes from, I'll tell you a project that we got. We went inside, same type of deal. TJ and I went there to go look at this development that was not moving forward. And we're like, man, it's a great location. I wonder why it's not selling. So we're a sponge for knowledge. We walk on site. TJ realized that he sold some lots to this guy that was actually developing this property with another agent. That wasn't us. He sold him lots. He was the listing agent, realized that was the buyer that bought 5 lots in this community, and they went on to buy 30 lots in this community. We walked on site. There was 2 homes sold in the year. Nothing has sold. The agent told us, she said, they're not building in here. I think they ran out of money, and we don't even have any product to sell. That's what the on-site agent told us. And like, gosh, something's really off here. So her listing was expiring, and he remembered that he sold that person that land, and ended up communicating with them, and they wanted to meet with us. We went in there, and we weren't afraid to ask the questions that most sales agents wouldn't ask. We said, I don't quite understand here. You got a great location. You got a great product. Nothing's selling. Nothing's being built. What's the problem? And they said, well, no, we said, is it a funding issue? They said, nope, it's a labor issue. We can't find a superintendent. We can't find a good sub base to build. We're new builders to the area. Well, because of TJ and I being engaged with learning details about projects, we knew some sub base and we knew a superintendent through a relationship we had. He said, well, what have we helped put together for you? A superintendent. He just finished up a job in Mississippi for 200 homes that he completed. He's looking for new work. And like, oh my gosh, would he be willing to move down to this area? And so we can check. He moved down to the area. They had some of the biggest funding sources that are in our entire marketplace. The agent that said that they had no money, no process, we helped them develop their process strictly through relationships with other people, put together their whole development team for them. And it wasn't because we had all this knowledge. We just had connections because TJ was in the trades, because he took that time back when he was 23 years of age to talk to the subs, to talk to the superintendent, to build relationships with them. 10 years later, he could go back to those relationships that he had. Hey, you know of anyone looking to be a superintendent right now? We need somebody. And that's how we put that one project together. Excuse me, getting over a cold. Since that time, they're bringing 800. Since that time period, of that one connection of that agent that said that they weren't going to perform, this company's doing 800 builds with us right now. Right? Because we asked, what's the problem? I don't understand. Can you share more with us about where the loopholes are of why this project's not being successful? And that was kind of a bold question to a developer, but we're not afraid to ask those questions. And they told us. They said, well, what if we find you a solution? Would you be willing to list with us? He said, if you can help us find that, we will list with you.
And I just put 2 and 2 together. So you've done about 1,500 units, done at this point for maybe 4 million or so, and you've got 1,500 in the pipe.
Yes. So we'll have about 3,000 builds by the time we're done with this direction.
Yeah. And you were the bamboo for 4 years. That was like, you knew you were going to get into this market, but it took you some time to get, and I don't think it's going to take that much time for everybody. But you were willing to invest because you kind of knew this was going to be a thing for you. Let's break it down. There's one question that Richie has, and then I want to break down a step-by-step on that we can give people. But Richie had the question, and Richie, I may need a little bit more specificity here. So yeah, I was in a new D.R. Horton community yesterday. My issue is getting the buyers to use me for new construction. And are you selling the homes for the builder, or are you finding buyers for the new community? And how are you getting new home buyers?
So it's both. So once you understand and study the process of new home sales, so D.R. Horton Homes, they do not get the sales fee. They're paid from the listing side. So whether they double side the deal or not, they're not making more money by doing it, right? So what we understood with buyers is say, hey, listen, they work for the builders, right? They're a national builder. It doesn't cost you any more for me to be your representative in these deals. And I've studied this market, so I understand where we can have some push and play. It's usually not price. Maybe it's incentives that we can work. But wouldn't you rather have someone that's looking after your best interest of the entire property, just like they're having someone looking after the best interest of the builder, right? How did I get the buyers for these projects? I knew the inventory. And a lot of times when you have an on-site sales team, they can only work that one project, right? I can work all of them. So I said, you're going to, and the way that they work D.R. Horton, you can only work the people that you serve. And I'll share later what we've done to change the game in our sales process on on-site teams. So it's like, hey, is John here? Oh, I'm sorry, he's not here today. So I can't help you if you're already working with John, right? They're all one for one, all against themselves. They're all individualized. And so I tell the customer, hey, I've taken the time to learn these products, right? I can take you into every product, new home sales that are there. It doesn't cost you a penny more for me to be that representative for you. And I've done the research for you ahead of time so I can prep you before we even go to that property. And then you show up to the property with your buyer, and that on-site agent knows who you are that I was talking about earlier. Hey, Nathan, how's it going? You're like, man, I'm with the right guy here. He does know his stuff, right? Learn the product. Understand.
Because you've already met with that project ahead of time. You already asked that person, what are your 2 to 3 competing neighborhoods?
Yes.
So you're stepping outside that initial appointment. You're saying, hey, listen, this is kind of the way this works. There are a couple competing projects, with these floor plans. So you're totally positioning yourself unlike any sort of normal agent. You're in the game.
I know the floor plans. I know the layout. I know the time periods. I'm going physically on site myself to register my customer. Hey, I got a customer I think is going to be good for this. Let me register them. If they register your customer ahead of time, you're protected in that regard and say, hey, I've already met with the on-site agent. I've already gotten you the package of what's going on in there. I know the details and here's how it's structured over there. I want to be your person to help you with all new construction, right? Just let them know that you're working with me. If you go to a project on your own without me, and I built these relationships to make your process easier. And now you can just deal with one person that can serve you in any project that's out there.
Yeah. And Richie, the only thing to add, that not that I was an expert even close to what Nathan's talking about, but when I first met with buyers, I would almost 100% of the time sign them to a buyer loyalty agreement. And I specifically went through what to do with FSBOs, what to do with new construction. And I already had them signed to a loyalty agreement, so that's just one thing. If Richie, if you're not doing that, maybe move that appointment, list your buyers, I guess is a way to say it. You're meeting with and listing every buyer.
Well, and in the way the world is going, you need to really start focusing on buyer agency agreements now. We're rolling that
100%.
all out to our team as we speak. So it's like, to me, it's the conversations you're having with the customer up front. And Richard, so often buyers don't understand the sales process, right? I learned at a young age when my friend was like, hey, we're so excited, we just bought this house. I'm like, well, Shane, I've been showing you for 3 weeks. What's the deal? Did I do something that made you upset? Oh man, I thought you could only show me the stuff that you were selling me, the stuff that you were showing me. This was a new home sales. So I lost people to that process and I always failed forward. I'm like, okay, well, I didn't explain the process best, that not only can I serve you an all resale product, but I can be your expert and show you all new home sale product, and let me be your eyes and ears to make your job easier. And I'll do the legwork so that way we can narrow it down to the properties that you think will, after what you share with me, that will best align with your needs.
Yeah. And Richard, I'm not sure I understand your question, but we did a training in here on the buyer consultation framework. I think that's what you're asking, but if it's something different than how to secure a buyer, let me know. Otherwise, you can grab that consultation framework training.
So when I just saw this question, are you finding the buyers or marketing properties to get buyers? So almost all these properties, developments we do is the same. They'll have non-branded materials and ask them for that. You can send that out to your database. That looks like it's your own listing. They're okay with that. They want you to push that product. Hey, do you have any non-branded materials? I want to send it out to my entire database to hopefully generate some sales for you. What on-site agent wouldn't encourage that from the builder? Hey, do y'all have non-branded materials? This agent wants to send it out to their entire database. So what does that look like when you send it out to your entire database and they actually got the information from you? Say, let me know if you're interested. We'll get you registered and I can get you videos, anything that you need. So yeah, it's a combination, right? Being an expert of the market, maybe adding the new development to your newsletter, getting that out to your database so that you become the source of information first before they find it without you, because you weren't being savvy and getting them new home opportunities. If you send out an email blast, everyone say, want to know about all the new development opportunities in town for brand new construction? I would love to be your guide. I've taken the time to learn all of them. You develop value there immediately.
Yeah. Wait, I just had a thought here. Yeah, it's just it's a different mindset. So at what point in, because this wasn't a big focus of mine. At what point can you go into that on-site agent? You develop some kind of relationship. First meeting is like, show me the inventory. I want to learn the product. I'm a sponge. Then are you stopping by on a regular basis and you say, hey, listen, I want to be able to market these, do you have any, not like, what are the first, are there a few meetings and then you just sort of regularly kind of make your rounds? Like, how do we turn this into a system where, and how many communities should you target for this research phase? And how many on-site agents, like, how does this thing build out over 3, 6, 12 months?
Yeah, so most in the world of technology today, almost every project is going to have a digital marketing package, which I will share with you some of the ones that we've put together. And so once, and we again had non-branded digital packages, right? So you can say, hey, do you have a digital marketing package on the property, or some paper-based marketing, or some things that I can duplicate with my customers? That can be on first meeting, right? And then you start calling them for additional information. Hey, I have this buyer, this is kind of what they're looking for. It seems like this would align. What would you suggest might be the best option for them, right? And everyone wants to provide value if someone's asking for it most of the time. And so just asking the right questions. But I would get digital marketing packages on every project that you go into. And then you could actually, have a link to that where you have it stored in Google Drive or somewhere to say, send me a message and I'll send you my digital marketing brochure, right? Most of these guys are completely fine with you marketing their product on that level.
Yeah. And then you just become associated with all the inventory out there, whether it's your own resale listing or whether you're talking about a builder closeout or a deal that fell through, or, there's some of those that probably, did you ever encounter that, like a deal that fell through and, TJ told you about it and you were able to sell it to your database?
No, yeah, he would call me all the time. Like, it wasn't just TJ, it was every new home person that I met. They knew that I was hungry to sell new product. They would offer the information to me, right? And it carried on. How do we, I think probably some of the questions are, how do you transfer from being a great single agent and selling new construction, because knowledge is power, right? How did you convert that to be able to go to where you're actually launching your own development? Land, right? Land acquisition. You need to start looking in your area. Hey, here's a tract of land. Nothing's done with it. Go on tax rolls. You can pull on tax rolls from any area. Like, let's just say Walton County is a county that we're in. I Google Walton County, PA, which is short for Property Appraiser's website. If you're seeing a piece of vacant land that's out there, look at it online. They're going to have a mailing address and a contact. I have Forewarn, which I can pull up people's information. Say, hey, there's some builders I'm talking to. I noticed this land was vacant. Have you had any thoughts about maybe selling it? Right? TJ got all these developers because he's going to share that on a later meeting. So I'm not going to get too into it. He became an expert in land acquisition. Well, when you find an off-market piece of land, because that's what the developers want, they don't want something they can find online themselves. You find off-market land that could be development potential, and you go to the county and say, hey, I want to learn more about this property. The seller is thinking about, I have a property that they may be open-minded to developing it. I got a relationship with him. What would the process take to be able to do more density on this property? And once TJ got that put together, and at times he'd even put the land under contract with a long period due diligence. And then he would find these developers. One of them was the one that we took over this community. And our deal was, hey, if we find you the land off market, can we be the exclusive sales team for the property? And we had contracts that would protect against that. And they want the knowledge. Well, no, we got our own sales team. Okay, fine. Well, then we got other developers that we can reach out to about this land. Okay, we'll sign your agreement. And that's what made us be the exclusive agents. And we actually found the dirt that brought the opportunity. And then therefore we had the exclusivity. If we brought you the opportunity, we became the sales team. And that's where we started building out a lot of the recent growth that we've had.
Yeah, that's awesome. Rhonda made a good point. So I think a lot of times traditional agents won't even have a sit down consultation with a would-be, buyer client. They'll show random properties and hope that somehow they'll use them as their buyer agent. So we did the same thing in the framework, the sales framework for buyers. There's no hiding behind, we talk about FSBOs. We talk about the three types of properties. It's FSBOs, it's new construction, and it's resale. And then when we were in a squirrely market, it was, distressed properties was a fourth. But we talk about, we're experts in all of it, and we're going to be your gateway to all of these. So here's what to do with FSBOs. Here's what to do with new construction. Here's what to do with resale. Here's what to do with distress. And we would get them under a loyalty agreement. So, and then Rhonda makes the point, visit these on-site agents during the week where they're literally doing nothing. There's probably like whatever they have one day that's a sales meeting where they're all busy for like 3 hours in the morning, but then the other 4 weekdays, they're just sitting there doing nothing for the most part. Jason I didn't really find this. It's sort of ebb and flow with the market, but what do you do when a builder, I have an answer, but what do you do when a builder has a limited or no commission?
So there's ways that you can build it. Like if you have the knowledge and value, you can build out a consultation fee with your buyer even. Like, hey, here's my professional fee, right? I've been researching all the new home opportunities. I think when builders take that route, it's a very difficult route to get them the right exposure. I think that builder is thinking small, right? And it may ask more questions like, what's the strategy behind that to not have any of the agents want to show your product? Because that doesn't make sense. And like, going back to what this lawsuit with NAR and stuff too, right? We had our first deal where the agent was offering no commission. There's no co-broke fee. And so I called her, and guess what she's doing now? She's adding a co-broke fee, because I said, listen, I understand that your job was to protect your own on your listing side of the commission, but did you explain to the seller that this position that you're taking is that no one's excited to try to sell your property but yourself? I said, why would you do that to your seller? She went back to the seller and said, hey, I think we're making a mistake here, right? Because if you think about a buyer, if a buyer's having to pay for their own commission, then that's that extra cash they're having to bring to the table versus it being worked into the deal that comes from the proceeds of the sale. So even with these lawsuits and stuff with NAR, my communication with the seller is don't ever do that, because you want everyone to be excited about your product. And I think you just have deeper rooted conversations with that on-site agent and understand their strategy. What's the strategy behind this? Are you only trying to do like a for sale by owner from the on-site agents? Because wouldn't you want the support of all the agents in your neighborhood? But I do think if you know the product, right, and you can create that value, you could try to work that into your professional fee, what your professional fee is with the buyer directly. I haven't had to deal with that much because we stress the importance to every builder we work with that you want to get the agents excited because they're the ones pushing the product.
Yeah. And then and also having an agreement, we would meet with our buyers ahead of time and have an agreement. We get paid 3.5% plus a transaction fee. Most of the time, the seller, whether it's new construction, FSBO, or resale, most of the time they'll pay for it. If there's a deficiency, you'll cover the deficiency, but based on the property, we'll go through that at the appropriate time. So it's just getting yourself covered.
And no deal. I mean, if they signed a buyer agency agreement with you, they're never forced to buy the property, right? The terms have to be right for them that you're able to work into the deal, or the deal doesn't happen. You can do it in the form of a closing cost credit, and a lot of these sellers are paying developers. Most all of them are doing some type of closing cost credit if you use the preferred lender or what have you. So a closing cost credit could be part of your commission spread as well. That's a buyer closing cost. So you can use that towards that direction.
That's awesome. You mentioned forewarn. I don't know what forewarn is. Is that just it's like a skip trace? What is forewarn?
It's the most incredible tool ever. And for those of you that don't have it, buy it. It's like $25 a month. It's FOREWARN. And it's a security. It's tied into an FBI database site. So I can type in two things to find people's information. I can type in their name and the city that they live in, which is you can pull from tax rolls, or if you have their phone number, you type in their phone number and it will show you every detail that you could ever imagine on that person. Have they been in bankruptcies, foreclosures? How many cars have they had? What are all their alias properties? What are their phone numbers? Do they have an arrest report? Our board of realtors, I brought it to their attention because I said, I think this is a great safety tool, especially for women. How much information are you going to get immediately by getting their license plate number? Here, you can type in the number that they called from and they'll show you everything. We found people that have had, sex offenses, criminal history. And I mean, now all my wife's friends that are single, they'll say, hey, can you put in this number for Warren so I can understand this? And it really lets you know who you're dealing with. Let's just say it even shows, hey, this guy owns Ford F-150s. He's talking about trucks. And now you have this great connection with this person, but it's the most incredible deal. We had a hit and run that hit my wife. The police couldn't find a local address for them. They gave us his name and number. They said he was from Tennessee. We typed in his information and it showed a Santa Rosa Beach address in our hometown that the police didn't even find on their own search. And they arrested the guy. on the number of the address that we gave him from the forewarned site that they didn't even have in their police records.
Oh my gosh. Kelly said one of her leads I ran through forewarned came back as a convicted first-degree murderer.
Yep.
Oh my Lord.
Safety is
And Brittany
everything.
said the same thing. Holy cow.
No, we had a girl that was about to go show property. I said, forewarn him. He had like something crazy, like 7 felony offenses and sexual predator. And it's like, don't show him, he's out. My own daughter had a little boyfriend. We typed in we looked up the address online, typed it in. His father was a registered sex offender, right? Forewarn is huge on your safety, but it's also great. Hey, this guy's saying he can buy $3 million property, but he's only owned a property for 150,000 and he has bankruptcy, right? Like, or he had a foreclosure. So, I mean, it lets you know who's pulling your chain too, and who's not.
That is awesome. So let's we've got about 5 or so minutes. What's the action plan here? So for someone that's like, man, that's good for Nathan, that he's Mr. New Construction Developer. But how can someone get started today? Like the next 3 to 6 months, the goal is to pick out one new development a week and get to 10, 12, 15 developments, start this database of like what step-by-step, 3 to 5 steps that we can all follow.
Start asking everyone in the industry in your marketplace, putting it on, local board forums and Facebook or anywhere. Hey, I have customers looking for new construction. Can you share with me or private message me if you know of any upcoming projects that are coming or ones that you're just about to launch, right? Go to real estate property tours. Hey, does anyone here? I'm always looking for new construction. If you could send me a message on new construction, start asking everybody about new construction and then physically going to that project, especially the ones that have on-site agents and walk that project. You could start with D.R. Horton because they're the largest builder in the country, right? Think of other builders in your marketplace that have built Adams Homes, Holiday Build, whoever the builder is. They're usually going to have other projects on the horizon that are also coming down the pipe that they're going to have insight on. So that's number one. Number two, anytime you go to a site, make sure that you get whatever digital marketing packages that they have and ask them if they have any non-branded materials that you could share with your database. And if not, would they be okay if you recreated a little marketing spread that you could send out to your database? Most of these builders are requiring their agents that they want to see 2 sales a month regardless, or they're fired. So they're eager to get you that information. Number 3, go and talk to your local your local planning and zoning board in your county. They know a ton of information. Hey, I'm always looking to find new opportunities for my customers. And do you know of any, new development orders that are on the horizon? Right? Befriend them. Imagine if you bring a box of, cookies or donuts or some breakfast to the county, say, hey, I'm eager to always learn. Do you mind if I could maybe sit down with one of y'all and understand any of the development orders that are being registered so that I can learn that product for my customers? Right? Awesome. Learn permitting, zoning, but your county ordinance, build a relationship with them. They know of most of the deals coming down the pipe before the general public's even going to know about that. Start talking to your survey people, right? Hey, have you done any new surveys on new construction? I'd love to, know about any new construction that you're running across, because they're usually going to do the land surveys for the developers and they all know each other. So gather as much information as you can. Get the digital marketing package and start sending that out to your customers to say, hey, wanted to share with you new construction, would love to be your guide.
Yeah. And then in all of this, it's going to tripwire the next level of knowledge and the next person to meet, the next conversation. You go into it maybe knowing not a lot about this world, but then you're going to go level 1 to level 2 to level 3 in terms of relationship and knowledge. And then you're just going to be able to, you get that shot with the developer and you're like, hey, listen, I want a shot at this. And they'll be like, well, you don't know anything. You're like, okay, well, test me.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
4 years of studying condos. He tested me. He's like, you know a lot of information. How did you learn that information? I said, because I'm addicted to learning knowledge on condos. I wanted to be that niche of mine, right? I'm addicted to learning new development, right? And then you actually start making sales in that because you're delivering that information. Well, now they're starting to see you on their property. They're starting to see, I mean, they do a review to see who's selling product in our neighborhoods, right? You can become a VIP individual agent for their neighborhood. They're surely going to start sharing with you new developments that they're bringing to the table. I can, if you have 1 minute, I can share you just a quick marketing package that we have so that you can see
Yeah,
what they're doing. Can I just share my screen here?
100%. You should be able to. Let's see if you can. Does it let you share?
You see desktop, open system.
I'm telling you, every one of you is going to buy a home down in Destin before Nathan is done.
Well, I'm sharing you one that we sold out.
I'm just kidding.
Okay,
I'm kidding. I'm
actually,
kidding.
here, I need to just click in. I just figured out how I can do this one. Well, you still haven't bought a property from me, Lars, and I know Julie still wants one down here along
I
our
know.
coast. It's saying that I had to log out and log back in. I'll email you some digital packages.
Yeah,
that we
we'll send it to us. This is live in Game Changer, so you can post it in there as well.
Yeah,
but send it to us.
I'll put a link right now into I'll do a link into something that we've done on a marketing package in here.
And the final thought, I'm going to give one thought, and I want you to close this out with your final thought. My big takeaway here is that most agents won't do this.
No.
Most agents, they need a commission check in the next 7 days. They're looking to buy the next lead. I've talked to thousands of agents, so I know this is their mentality. So the thing that would get you excited about this is that, Nathan has banked, 4 million in commissions on this pillar. He's got likely a whole lot more than that, because 1,500 units at the price points I know you guys are developing now is probably 6 to 8 million of future, gross commission income, and there's probably buy sides because now you guys are running the sales for these as well.
Yeah, so there's 40% of every new project that we have in the buyers as well.
Yeah, so there's this incredible opportunity, but it started with like, hey, in a sunny desert, the best time to plant a tree for shade was 20 years ago, but the second best time is today. So that's my parting thought here, is that this is all sweat equity, right? There's not a lot of money you can spend to build this business, but it's a ton of sweat equity that you put in because your father called you out and said you knew nothing, go back to waiting tables. And you're like, well, screw that, Dad. I'm going to figure this out and I'm going to make it work. But what's your parting thought for someone that wants to be you as it comes to developing a new construction one day?
So first of all, there's an 85% failure rate for agents because they never show up and treat it like a career, right? You got to look at yourself and say, do I show up in the way that this career deserves? Because you're your own boss, right? The hardest thing is to have the discipline. And most of the time you don't think that you have work unless you have a lead that you're talking to. But that's where so many agents fail, because once they finally do get their lead, they're still a rookie agent because they never took the time to understand the market. I mean, I watched your journey, Lars. I mean, it was hard knocks, right? It's like, I want to create a life out of this. I guess the best advice I can give is that real estate's an emotional roller coaster, and you got to show up to practice every single day and try to get better at what you're doing every single day. And you're going to fail a lot, fail forward. And when you fail, ask that person, hey, how did I fail you? I noticed that you went with this other agent. I always want to get better at my craft. How can I get better? And understand that, I always applied it to sports. You see people that are playing in the big game, the championship game, the Super Bowl. The part that's not sexy is the grind of the practice of showing up every single day to do that and taking the mental breaks that you need. And when you get beat down, understand it's natural feeling, but just pause for a second and realize next day is a new day for greatness, right? Don't stay in that space, because when you do, and I get that space even today, I just recognize it a lot faster. You're like, oh, the market, you start kicking the can down the street. This sucks. It's hard. I don't like this. My deal fell apart. Wah. And then momentum works in amazing ways. It works when you're moving forward in a positive outlet, but when you're in that negative headspace, you will fail in this business. And like right now, everyone is in this mindset, oh, the market's so hard. We're looking at it to say, this market's hard as hell right now. How are we going to break out of this market in such a way, because we're showing up in ways that no one else is going to? And that's what sets your market. I honestly think right now when the market's tough, that's when your knowledge gain has more growth opportunity than it ever will when the market is strong. And it will always come back. This is my fourth transitional market. When the market's down, that we actually get excited in the struggle because we embrace the suck and you learn to get better at your craft. And so we're putting more into our business right now than I ever have in my career in a time that it's the most challenging, because we know how it's going to look when we come out of that, and that's capturing market share. So just show up every day. If you're not showing up every day, find another career that will require you to show up, because now you're on payroll. And if you're on payroll and you don't show up, you're fired. So ask yourself, are you showing up in ways that you would not fire yourself? And if the answer is no, you need to start showing up or pick another job.
Awesome. Nathan, I'm going to have you on maybe if you're free the first Tuesday in December. I want to have you unpack that last 2 minutes into a full hour. Okay. So I really think we can just expand on everything that you taught in those last 2 minutes. And like, what are you coaching your agents on? You have agents joining your team now that are new to real estate, or they're not producing, and you're getting them to quickly produce. So I want you to unpack that part of it, but we'll book out a separate time for that. Brother, this was amazing. I have a level of respect for you and how you run your business that I don't often get to share. It has just been unbelievable seeing you do what you've done. I know if everyone can unmute themselves and maybe give a hoot or a holler to Nathan, and I'll start here. Yeah, Nathan.
Wow.
What's up? What's up? All right, brother.
Thank you.
I learned a lot from you, Lars. Lars is the ultimate like mission man. Like when he gets his mind on something, he follows through, right? And I was probably a frustrating student for him at times because I was like beating to my own drum, but it is a methodology piece. Like you got to kind of build out what your mission is, and you got to show up every day. And you know, my next piece is I want to focus on agent attraction like Lars has. You know, Lars has built agent attraction because he shows up to do the work day in and day out. And most of the time he's doing it in ways that no one else would. And like pick your passion, right? And show up in ways that people are like, man, this person shows up heavy, and they're a workhorse, and the reward comes from the hard work. It doesn't come easy in any position. So put in the work.
Awesome. Appreciate you, brother. We'll have you on again. I want you to unpack the basics of just crushing real estate, especially when the market's down, mindset, all of that stuff, how you continue to show up, how you coach your agents to show up. We'll book that in. I appreciate you for giving back to this community. We love you. We are rooting for you to keep crushing it, and we'll talk to you soon, brother.
I did put that link. Someone asked. I put a link in this, a sample marketing package. That's a branded version, but we have non-branded. So start asking for that information from customers. I'm bringing from on-site people.
Awesome. Right? And we'll grab that as well. We'll post it in the toolbox, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Be good. Thanks, Nathan.
Right.
See you guys.